So the DNC, all of a sudden, have changed the debate requirements. Mike Bloomberg seems to be the cause of all this ruckus. Now, we'll go into detail as to why this happened, which is very odd because the DNC doesn't do this normally. If you guys remember, in the past, you needed to meet a polling requirement and a donor requirement to qualify for a debate. So I think the last debates in January, you needed 225,000 individual donors, and you needed to be polling at 4% or more, right? So if you didn't meet those thresholds, you couldn't participate in the debates. Well, now, all of a sudden, even though the DNC said they wouldn't do something like this, they have changed the requirements. And weirdly enough, the only person who benefits from these new requirements is Mike Bloomberg. So now they've gotten rid of the donor threshold. You don't need to have 225,000 donors or whatever it is. You just need to be polling at 10%. So double the polling threshold. Or if you get one delegate in Iowa or New Hampshire. As I said, the only person who benefits from this is Mike Bloomberg. Because, oh, what a surprise, he doesn't have any individual donors whatsoever. As you know, he is a billionaire. He is stinking rich. So much money, he doesn't even know what to do with it. He prides himself, Mr. Bloomberg, in being completely self-funded. And he thinks that by not taking any individual donations whatsoever, even grassroots ones, even small dollar donations from regular working class people, that he is therefore unaffected by special interests. I mean, I actually think that's worse because that means we don't know who he's beholden to. He doesn't owe anyone anything, technically. I mean, because if you're taking money from working class people like Bernie Sanders, if you're taking small dollar donations, you do owe them something. You owe your electorate something because these people financed you. They funded you. Whether they're small dollar donations or corporations, you're always beholden to your donors. And when you're beholden to no one, I mean... So very interesting, right? That these new debate requirements, abracadabra, they benefit only one person, Mike Bloomberg. And now we are going to get to the most interesting part. As you guessed, this motherfucker bought them off. The DNC didn't change the debate requirements from the goodness of their heart. No, they changed them because 2 days before Mike Bloomberg started running for president, he gave the DNC $300,000. Would you look at that? And on top of it, he made an $800,000 donation to Democratic Grassroots Victory Funds, which is a super PAC that is coordinated by the DNC. I mean, this guy is basically handing out millions of dollars to the DNC and their friends in exchange for the chance to get him onto the debate stage. Now, I'm a bit confused by this because if you look at the way that Mike Bloomberg is running his campaign, you would think that he actually doesn't want to be on the debate stage because this guy, his whole strategy is just to bombard people with ads. He doesn't want to engage with voters. He doesn't want to engage with journalists. He doesn't want to engage with other candidates in the race. He doesn't want to engage with debate moderators. So it's a bit weird. He might end up declining this invitation to the debate, even if he qualifies. I don't know. I'm very confused by this whole thing. But if you connect the dots, I mean, the guy gave over $1 million to the DNC. The DNC and the state parties and their PACs combined, it's over $1 million. And then all of a sudden, they change the debate requirements. And he's the only person who benefits from this. I don't know. That's weird. Because the DNC said they wouldn't be doing that. But they did it anyway. So I don't know. I think that's a little weird. Now, we've had some statements about this. The first one is from Tulsi Gabbard. Take a look. She said, billionaire Bloomberg just bought the DNC. Hashtag pay to play. Hashtag stand with Tulsi. And it's important to bring up Tulsi and Mike Gravel because they were both shut out of the debates, even when they had met polling requirements and donor requirements. The DNC pretended that they were unqualified and barred them from the debates. So, of course, it's very egregious to see that where you have candidates meeting the requirements, not being allowed to participate, and then you have someone else who just buys their way into the debate. Just like Tom Steyer and now just like Mike Bloomberg, both of them billionaires. And Bernie Sanders' senior advisor, Jeff Weaver, he said, to now change the rules in the middle of the game to accommodate Mike Bloomberg, who is trying to buy his way into the Democratic nomination, is wrong. That's the definition of a rigged system. So this is once again a critique that people have been making about the DNC and politics in general ever since Bernie Sanders brought it to light, brought it into the mainstream. It's that the DNC is a corrupt institution. All they're interested in is representing corporations and corporate interests, whether we're talking about the military-industrial complex or big pharma or private health insurance industries or whoever pays them and throws cash in their face. Okay? So once again, the DNC effectively had proven to us that this is true because they changed the rules for the debates based on how much money you give them. And that is just really, really low. You know, something that comes to mind is that you had Cory Booker and Julian Castro and about 6 other candidates in the race who wrote a letter to Tom Perez, the chair of the DNC, asking him to please change the debate requirements to lower them a bit so that candidates of color like Cory Booker, like Julian Castro, could qualify because you don't have enough representation on the stage. And he refused. Tom Perez refused. The DNC said no. So why are they all of a sudden saying yes now to new debate requirements? Money. That's why. So, I mean, where's the surprise? Are you guys surprised? I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised whatsoever. The only thing I can't really figure out is like, why would Mike Bloomberg want to go on the debate stage? I get the impression he's not too favorable when it comes to engaging with other candidates in the race, moderators, journalists. I feel like he doesn't want to have any face-to-face time with other people. You know, when it comes to the early primary states, he's completely ignoring them. So when it comes to Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, he doesn't care about them. He's completely ignoring them. He's focusing only on Super Tuesday because that's actually when you have the most states doing their primary, holding their primary at the same time. So, I mean, that's also very important, but you can't ignore the earlier states either. So he's running a very unorthodox campaign, that's for sure, in many, many, many ways. And I just can't figure out what the play is here, but I think it's very clear that the guy has bought them off. Of course. I mean, if you give these people wads of cash, they'll do whatever you want. They're corrupt. That's all they care about. The only thing they care about is money. That's why they've been trying to sabotage Bernie Sanders and not give him the nomination, because not only does Bernie Sanders not take money, but he would also stop the DNC from taking corporate money. That means all their cash is gone, baby. So, I mean, this whole debacle is really something. It really is. So, going back to those enormous donations that he made, let me just read you this paragraph right here. Bloomberg made 3 separate donations of $106,500 to the Democratic National Committee, according to the FEC. Individuals are allowed to donate up to $106,500 to each national party account in this election cycle. In addition to the donations made directly to the DNC, Bloomberg also made an $800,000 donation that same day to the Democratic Grassroots Victory Fund, a joint fundraising pact between the DNC and state Democratic parties around the country. Bloomberg also donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to state parties around the country in November. Bloomberg has poured millions into campaigning in the states which vote after February, including those in the March 5th Super Tuesday primary, and has steadily risen in national polling. By the way, Bloomberg is spending $11 million on an ad to run during the Super Bowl on Sunday. $11 million on one ad. This guy has more money than he has sense. If you guys remember, a while ago, I covered his ad buyout, Michael Bloomberg, buying out $30 million. $30 million in ads. I mean, that dwarfs all the other candidates. All the other candidates put together don't spend that much money on ads. Okay? $30 million, dude. That's more money than Bernie Sanders raises in a quarter. And Bernie Sanders, as you all know, is the top fundraiser in this Democratic primary. Let that sink in for a second. That's just his ad buyout. Just his ad buyout in November was $30 million, which is more money than the whole quarter for Bernie Sanders. I mean, unfathomable, really. And It's truly obscene. Like, I can't even wrap my mind around how much money this guy is spending. He doesn't even have a chance, in my opinion. And what's scary, though, is he's polling well. He's polling well. Just to further put that into perspective, Bernie Sanders is spending $2.5 million on ads between Texas and California for Super Tuesday. $2.5 million. That's the whole budget. And this guy is dropping $11 million on one ad for the Super Bowl. I mean, these are two completely different leagues. Okay. Not to denigrate or downplay the impact of Bernie Sanders fundraising. Of course not. We all know what value that holds, having that much money from small dollar donations. But I mean, this guy, he's really balling out. And I don't know if he has that much of a chance. I mean, what's scary is he's polling 4th place nationally. I saw that yesterday and I was shocked. I was like, what? This guy, 4th place nationally. He just entered the race. He's polling higher than Booty Juggalo. Yes, the weasel, the darling of the elite donor class. Now that's saying something. So this guy is not playing around. I mean, he's really got boku bucks and he's ready to ball out and splurge. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to get him anywhere. I think he is, like I said, more money than sense. Same goes for Tom Steyer. You know, these billionaires think that because Donald Trump was able to wiggle his way into the White House, that they are also going to be able to replicate that by spending as much money as they can fathom. No. I don't think so. And that's a lot of money to waste, honestly. I mean, how pathetic. You could have given that to homeless people instead of trying to just go power crazy and get into the White House. Screw you, man. You're not here to help anyone. You're just in it for the power. You could have helped a lot of hungry, poor people with that money. Why don't you spend it wisely? Why are you just wasting it on something you have no chance with on top of it? Not to mention that it's wrong you're running in the first place. You're a billionaire. You're part of the establishment. You're part of the goddamn problem. But no. The DNC, to no one's surprise, is a corrupt, disgusting institution. It's always been pay to play. All right, always. You don't think that Hillary Clinton rigged the nomination because she's poor. No, she rigged it because she's rich and powerful. Of course. What do you think? Most of the power that these elites have comes from their money. Hillary Clinton isn't the queen of the Democratic establishment because she was First Lady and Secretary of State and Senator for New York. Yes, of course, she has a long, nice resume in government, but it's also because she's stinking rich. And of course, being in government helps you get there. That's why Nancy Pelosi is somehow worth over $100 million. You ain't clean if you've been making over $100 million while in government. Okay, best believe that. So anyway, the DNC is corrupt. They stink. And this doesn't surprise me. What is good, though, is that we have 3 debates, I think, in this month alone in February. I really hope that they're not going to be jam-packed with 7+ candidates because my head can't stand it, man. Okay, I really like those focused debates, Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton, where it was really just 2 people talking. There was ample time for each candidate to speak, 1.5 minutes or 1 minute and 15 seconds. Man, that was awesome. And you could think and actually compare properly. But this garbage with 7 candidates or more is really just annoying. And it's just for the media to make money. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll see if this Mike Bloomberg even polls that high to get into the debates and if he even accepts. So to be continued.